8.4 is all about the polynomials. We will also talk about section 8.5 today, but we need a definition of a polynomial so we know what we're talking about. A polynomial is a monomial, or the sum or difference of monomials. And a monomial, we'll talk about what that is as well. Sometimes we use polynomial to also refer to 4 or more terms. Okay, so for instance, this would be a polynomial because terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So this is term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. So it's got 4 terms, so we would call that a polynomial. The other categories we have are monomials, which are just 1 term, binomials, which are 2 terms, and trinomials, which are 3 terms. So first we need to know how to classify, that's what we call it, classifying a polynomial. This is 1 term, no addition, subtraction, 1 term, 1 term. So these are all representing monomials. These have 2 terms, 2 terms, 2 terms, so those are binomials. And these have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 terms, so those are called trinomials. And then anything more than 3 would be considered a polynomial. So the degree of the polynomial is the second thing we need to know. So we need to know how to classify a polynomial. We need to know how to find the degree of a polynomial. So that is the largest exponent in a given polynomial if it has 1 variable. Yeah. So let's talk about the degrees here. Let's skip this guy for a second. The exponent on that n, if there were an exponent, would be 1. So the degree of this monomial is 1. The degree of this monomial would be 3 because it's the highest exponent. This one has no exponents on it. So variables on it. So imagine if I put a variable on it, what would the exponent on that variable have to be for it to not have one? Would have to be 0. So basically, if you have a term that's just a number and it has no x's, then that degree would be 0. The degree here would be 1. The highest exponent here is 2. The highest exponent here is 2. Degree here, the highest exponent, this is x to the first, y to the first, z to the first, so that would be 1. The highest exponent is 4. And the highest exponent here is 3. Alright, so we need to know how to classify it, whether it's a monomial, a binomial, or a trinomial. We need to be able to find its degree also. Pretty simple. The next thing is also pretty simple. We want to be able to arrange the polynomials so that the powers are in descending order, which means going down. So you want your highest exponent first. Remember, power means exponent. Then they go down to when you have no exponents. So for example, this has the highest exponent, so we write that first. It's a positive 2x to the 4th, so we make sure it stays positive. Then the 7x squared is next, and it's positive, so we write plus 7x squared. And then the 11 has no variables on it, so it's last, minus 11. You always use the sign in front of it, so the sign follows along with it. In number 2, it says we're putting the powers of x in descending order. So that means we are going to start with x to the 3rd, x to the 2nd, x to the 1st, and that's positive because there's no sign in front of it, and no x's. So that is putting the x's in descending order, going down, like decelerating. The opposite of that then would be to put them in ascending order. That means going up. And so we start with our lowest exponent or no exponents first. So our lowest exponent is 5. Then we have x to the first, because there's no number, it's understood to be 1, x to the second, and x to the third. And you need to make sure that the sign always comes with it, whatever sign is in front of it. All right. This one in ascending order, remember we're looking at the x's. So do any of them not have any x's? This one, negative a to the fourth. Then we're looking for, this one's got x to the second, x to the fifth, x to the first. So that one's going to be next, plus 9a squared x. Then x to the second, and x to the fifth. So descending, which we have to do for factoring, goes down, highest exponent to lowest exponent, just in the x's, of course. Ascending means no exponent all the way up to the highest exponent. No exponent for x all the way up to the highest exponent. So in 8.4, we need to know how to classify, we need to know how to find the degree, and we need to know how to write polynomials in descending and ascending order. And that's all of 8.4. 8.5 is about adding and subtracting polynomials, which is also very simple. We've already kind of been doing this, so this should not be difficult. There are two ways that you can add. You can add vertically, and this is similar to when we do the SOAP method or elimination method. We just stack them so that they match up, and we add down. What we need to remember is that when we add like terms, the exponents do not change. We do not change the exponents. So 3x squared minus 7x squared is negative 4x squared. So if they start out as x squared, they'll still be x squareds. Negative 4x plus 2x would be negative 2x, because you're just adding these numbers and bringing the x down. And positive 8 and negative 5 would give you positive 3. So we already do this, we just haven't done it with exponents yet. We've done it with x's and y's. Just remember the exponent stays the same when you add. Do not change the exponent. So we add here. Remember, if there's no number in front, it's understood to be 1. So 1x squared plus 2x squared is 3x squared. 1x plus 1x is 2x. And 6 minus 5 is 1. So you can add them vertically, but oftentimes they are set up horizontally. And we are just combining like terms, which is something we've also been doing. So 4x squared plus 3x squared would be 7x squared. 2x minus 4x would be negative 2x. And negative 7 plus 3 would be negative 4. So you're just finding the like terms. Do not be thrown by the parentheses. Since it's addition, it actually won't affect anything in here. So we're just finding the like terms and adding them. Same thing here. So we've got negative 2x cubed plus a negative 2x cubed would be a negative 4x cubed. The exponent does not change. 5x squared. There's no x squareds over here, so that will just come down. Then we've got negative x and positive 3x. Remember, that's negative 1x. Negative 1 plus 3 would be positive 2x. And 8 minus 4 would be 4. So this is like combining like terms. This is similar to the SOAP method, both things that we've done before. So that should not be too challenging. Subtracting is exactly the same with one minor difference, but also a skill that we've already been using. So we want to take this polynomial and subtract this polynomial. So what we need to do is adjust this and make it into an addition problem. So we're going to leave this one alone. We're going to change the sign to addition. And then we're going to do the opposite of all of these. So this becomes negative, this becomes negative, this becomes positive. Leave this one alone, change it to addition, do the opposite of all of these. Now it's an addition problem, so we do it exactly the same as the previous problems. So 6p squared minus 4p squared would be 2p squared. Negative 3p and negative 10p, be careful, would be negative 13p. We're just adding with two negatives gives us a bigger negative. And positive 5 and positive 9 gives us positive 14. So we do leave change opposite, and then we just add them. The other thing you can think about if you don't like leave change opposite is distributing. We're just distributing this negative sign. So when I distribute this negative sign, this guy becomes positive. A negative times this guy becomes negative. And a negative times a negative becomes positive. So either way, the signs are all going to flip. It just, if you want to think about it like this, leave change opposite, or you can think about it as distributing a negative. Whatever works for you. Then we combine like terms. 2x cubed plus 2x cubed is 4x cubed. 5x squared, and there are no x squared, so we just bring that down. Then we've got negative x, and negative 3x would give us negative 4x, and 8 plus 4 gives us 12. All right, what I'd like you to do is try 7 and 8 on your own, so go ahead and pause the video, try 7 and 8. Actually, if you want to try all of them, you can. And pause the video and then come back and check them. Alright, so for 7, hopefully you've tried all these. We're going to change this to addition, change the sign of each of these. 3x cubed and no other x cubes makes that just stay 3x cubed. Now, careful here. We got our cubed, then we need to do our squares. So that means minus 5x squared because there's no other x squared, so we just bring the x squared down. Now we can start combining. 2x plus 1x is 3x, and negative 6 plus 4 should be negative 2. Watch your signs. You need to be careful with your signs. Subtracting here, start with your highest exponent. So we got 13x cubed, and we've got to change the signs on these. So 13x cubed minus 4x cubed would be 9x cubed. Now our squares, this is the only square, so positive 3x squared, and 5x minus 7x gives us negative 2x. The order actually doesn't matter unless it says you have to put them in descending order. But we would like to get you in the mode of always writing them in descending order. Here, this is actually easier than you think. Just change this to addition and adjust the signs on these guys. Now combine all the x's. 3x plus 2x is 5x, minus 7x is negative 2x. So just combine them all in one step. 7y minus 3y, that'd be 4y, minus 4y means the y's completely drop out. Don't write 0y because you might get confused by that. But we had 4y, we subtracted 4y, so they basically cancel each other out. Negative 4z plus 6z makes 2z, and there's no other z's over here, so it's just plus 2z. So we get negative 2x plus 2z. And the last one, we need to change these negative signs. So this is addition, make that negative, make that negative, make that addition, make that negative, make that negative. We'll never touch the first one. So now we've got 2a minus 5a would be negative 3a, and no other a's over here, so negative 3a. Negative 4b, no b's here, and negative 7b makes negative 11b. And negative c, negative 2c, that's negative 3c, because remember that's 1. Negative 3c minus 12c would be negative 15c. The last thing we want to talk about is finding the perimeter. So we're going to add a couple problems in here. Find the perimeter of this triangle. 7x minus 1, 3x, and 2x plus 4. So remember, to find the perimeter, we're just adding up all the sides. We're just adding all these together. So 3x plus 7x is 10x, plus 2x is 12x. And then we add our whole numbers. Negative 1 plus 4 would be positive 3. And this is perimeter, so we want to write units. One more. We'll call that number 11 and number 12. This time you've got a rectangle. It is 3x minus 7 and 5x. We know it's a rectangle because it has 4 right angles. Now we want to find the perimeter, so remember this one is also 5x and this one is 3x minus 7. And then we add all the sides up. 5x plus 5x is 10x, plus 3x plus 3x, that gives us 6x. So 10x plus 3x is 13x. And negative 7 plus negative 7 is negative 14 units. So adding and subtracting, including finding the perimeter. You can always rewind and go back. Good luck.